When my wife and I started thinking about personal finance, we didn't have a lot of money, we didn't have a saving habit, and we didn't have savings. So we had to start out quite slowly. We started off saving 1,000 yen a month, 2,000 yen a month, 5,000 yen a month. But by the end, we were saving 50 or 60% of our income, even 70% at times. Now, I've mentioned that in a few videos, and this week I had a really great comment asking me to talk about that. How can we get to such a high savings rate? How can you cut your spending, cut your expenses enough to get to the point where you're saving 70% of your income? And in this video, I would like to talk about that. So before we get into the secret of a really high savings rate, I would like to give a shout out to our channel's paid subscribers. I'm so grateful for all the support you guys have been giving to the channel. It really does motivate me and helps me make more content. If you'd like to support RetireJapan, keep us going, you could click on the join button below. It's just a small monthly payment and it really does make a difference. So what is the secret to get to a really high savings rate? Well, I think the most important thing I'd like to say here is that it's not necessary for you to save 50%, 60% of your income. Most people, as long as they're saving 10 or 20% of their income every month, doing something sensible with it, you're going to be completely fine. You're going to be far better off than most people, and you're going to find that most kind of financial problems are not really going to be an issue once you're a few years into that. But say that you would like to increase your savings rate, you're not really satisfied with how much money you're able to save at the moment. How can you do that? Well, in my experience, there's three main steps, and there's also a zero step, a kind of foundational step, and that is to get motivated. So this is not easy. It's not the standard thing to do. Most people are not saving large amounts of money every month. In fact, it's probably far more normal to just spend everything. So if you want to be different, if you want to have a high savings rate, if you want to save more, you really need to have a reason. So why? Why would you want to do that? Why would you defer gratification? Why would you choose not to spend money now in order to have more money and more security later on? Well, I think you're going to have to find that motivation. For me, the motivation was losing my job. So I lost my job at fairly short notice, and that was incredibly traumatic. So traumatic that I immediately made a promise to myself that I would never be in that situation again. And for me, that was my burning motivation. I did not want to be at the mercy of other people, of circumstance, of bad luck. I wanted to have a really strong financial foundation. And so we started off saving small amounts, but we were able to ramp that up over time. But it all comes from the motivation. Find your motivation and you will find a way to save, you'll find a way to cut your spending, you'll find a way to get more money. Once you're motivated, you've got a reason to do this. I think the first step is to start tracking your spending. A lot of the time when we spend money, we're not really aware of it, especially now when you can spend with cards and apps and you never really see the money itself. It's really easy to just spend money and not really be conscious of where it's going or how much you're spending. The way to get around that is to start tracking your spending. And by tracking, I mean basically writing down everything you spend. And you want to do this for a couple of months. I think 1 month is probably not enough because you've got irregular payments that are not monthly. But it is a bit of a hassle to track your spending. It's a bit annoying. I don't enjoy it, for example. So I recommend doing between 2 and 3 months of just tracking your spending. Write down every single thing you spend money on, classify it, put it into categories, and you'll be really surprised at some of the things you discover. You'll probably find that you're spending far more money than you thought on things that are perhaps not very important to you. And tracking your spending in step 1 allows you to go into step 2, which is to spend more mindfully. So it's to look at all your spending and start thinking about, okay, what is really effective spending? So effective spending is spending money on things that matter to you, that make your life better, that make you happy, that bring fulfillment to you. And then cutting down on spending that isn't important. So this is spending that you're spending kind of on autopilot, but it's not particularly making you happy. And in fact, reducing that spending is not going to change your quality of life. So the goal isn't necessarily to spend as little as possible. It's to spend money as effectively as possible so that you're getting the most benefit from your spending. It's a little bit like Marie Kondo with her whole "does this thing spark joy" kind of idea. So basically, does the spending spark joy? Is it something that makes your life better? If it is, keep it. Spend more on it. But if it's not, then maybe it's time to cut that, or maybe eliminate it altogether. The third step is to understand and really internalize a really important concept from economics, and that is opportunity cost. So opportunity cost is basically, what else could you have done with the money, or the time, or the effort? It's basically saying, if you didn't spend the money on this thing, what else could you have spent the money on? And I recommend setting up a kind of default spending option. And that is basically to save and invest the money. So if your default is to save and invest the money, then doing something else with money means that it has to be more valuable than doing the saving and investing. And if you get good at this, you get to the point where it's fairly automatic. You go to spend money and you think, is this worth doing to the point where I'm not saving and investing the money? And sometimes the answer will be yes, in which case you go ahead and spend the money. And sometimes the answer will be no. You'll say, oh, actually, maybe this thing or this expense is not as important as I thought in the moment. I won't buy it. I won't pay for it. Instead, I'll save and invest that money. And in Japan, you're saving and investing. First of all, you want to save up a bit of an emergency fund, so you've got some cash on hand for accidents and emergencies. And then you want to start putting money into NISA, possibly into iDeCo. And I really think if you go through those 3 steps in order, you'll find that you're able to maybe cut your spending a little bit and find some money that you can use to save and invest for the future. However, just going through that cycle is very unlikely to get you to the point where you can save 30, 40, 50, 60, 70% of your income. It's almost impossible that that's going to happen. The way to get to a really high savings rate is to increase your income while keeping your expenses the same. If you're young enough, if you're watching this while you're at university or just after finishing university, keep living as a student as your income goes up. As you start earning more, you start getting more responsibilities at work and so on. And the gap between the amount of money coming in and the amount of money that you need to fund your lifestyle will grow, and that gap is where you can get your savings from. If you're watching this later in life, you've already got a family maybe, responsibilities, it's going to be more difficult, but the same principle applies. As your career advances, as your income grows over time, try to make sure that your spending doesn't grow at the same rate. Your spending grows more slowly than your income, and then the amount of money you have available to save and to invest will also grow. Do this for a while, and you'll really find it making a difference to your finances. This really simple chart from Mr. Money Mustache shows you how many years you would have to save for at a given percentage saving rate. So if you can save 10% of your income, it'll take you about 50 years to get to retirement. Now, this isn't counting pensions and so on, so it's not necessarily going to mean that you're going to have to work for 50 years. It's just giving you a rough idea of how long it would take you under your own steam. Saving 20% cuts that to 37 years, 30% is 28 years, 40% 22 years, 50% is only 17 years. And this is basically what my wife and I found. So we got serious about this stuff in about 2008. And by 2022, through a combination of both of us working and growing our incomes and growing our savings rate and really focusing on this goal, we reached our retirement number. But if you're just starting out and you're finding it hard to find any money at all to save, don't be discouraged, because anything you can do is going to make your financial situation better. Even saving 5,000 yen a month, 10,000 yen a month, that's going to give you that buffer that's really going to save you when financial setbacks happen. And my personal experience is that once you start saving, once you start investing, you're gonna find it motivating. You're gonna find it really exciting, and you're gonna make an effort to find extra savings where you can cut spending, save a little bit more, increase your income, save a little bit more. And if you do that for long enough, it's gonna transform your life, much like my life was transformed by starting out on this journey. And it's very much not reaching that number that changes your life, it's getting started that changes your life. Reaching the number was actually kind of anticlimactic. It was exciting for about 2 days, and then I kind of forgot about it. But getting started, that is what changed my life. If you enjoyed this video, if you find this kind of thing useful, please do subscribe to the channel, click like on this video. Do let me know if you have any questions in the comments. What's your experience been? Have you already started on this journey towards improving your financial situation? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.